Palestinians excluded from Israeli COVID vaccine rollout as jabs go to settlers. Human rights groups accuse Israel of dodging obligations to millions in occupied territories who may wait months for vaccination.
Here's a summary of the article.
Palestinians in the Israeli-occupied West Bank and Gaza can only watch and wait. They are only distributed to Jewish settlers, and not the roughly 2.7 million Palestinians living around them who may have to wait for weeks or months. Those would be through a World Health Organization-led partnership called COVAX, aimed at helping poorer countries, which has pledged to vaccinate 20% of Palestinians. Israeli officials have suggested they might provide surplus vaccines to Palestinians and claim they are not responsible for Palestinians in the West Bank and Gaza, pointing to 1990s-era interim agreements that required the authority to observe international vaccination standards. Almost 3 decades later, Israeli, Palestinian and international rights groups have accused Israel of dodging moral, humanitarian and legal obligations as an occupying power during the pandemic. Gisha, an Israeli rights group, said Palestinian efforts so far to look elsewhere for vaccines does not absolve Israel from its ultimate responsibility toward Palestinians under occupation. The disparities could potentially see Israelis return to some form of normality within the first 3 months of this year, while Palestinians remain trapped by the virus.
This post received a score of 7,700, with an upvote ratio of 84%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
The Palestinian Authority has said they did not ask Israel for the vaccine, they have chosen to source it themselves. Source:
You mean someone on our World News posted a totally misleading and entirely false headline and article against Israel? Shocked.
Happens every day on this site. And if it gets removed, people start conspiracy theories and screaming suppression.
I wonder if being disingenuous and lying all the time, making up stories about dams that don't exist, flooding Gaza, photoshopping police officers in Chile kneeling on people's heads and claiming it is Israeli police and soldiers, presenting photos of gassed children from Syria and claiming that they're Gazan, and the rest of the complete over-the-top shrieking of the pro-poli side actually helps their cause in the long run. I doubt it. Any legitimate criticism is now entirely ignored and completely laughed at. Who gives a fuck anymore, right? It is actually funny now to see their hysterics.
It does help their cause. The eradication of Jewish people. The whole point of neo-Nazis and anti-Zionists pretending to give a shit about Palestine is their entire agenda to get the world to hate Israel, which turns into blaming Jewish people. I've been seeing this happen a lot on social media last year especially.
Totally get where you're coming from. Just a friendly reminder that not 100% of criticisms of Israel come from a place of anti-Semitism.
You're absolutely right, and I'm not referring to those people. I'm talking about neo-Nazis and anti-Zionists who use the excuse of caring about Palestine to accuse all Jewish people for the actions of the IDF when in fact they could give a shit about Palestinians. Edit. People can be critical of the IDF and understand that being Jewish isn't a monolithic experience, thus not blaming them. Though that is not what I see as the majority online.
Clickbait. The article is titled "To Inflame Strong Proponents at Either Side to Conflict While the Information is Tenuously Worded at Best" and #X200B. This article is inconclusive and inflammatory.
To follow up, Hamas repeatedly turns down offers of aid for prisoners. They tell their people insane conspiracy theories about the vaccine and coronavirus treatment, while accepting treatment from Israeli hospitals while their own people suffer after being told not to seek help from the Israelis. It's honestly madness, and Israel, at least on this issue, has been completely forthcoming about it.
Hamas is not the PLO. Why would Israel, who Hamas exists to destroy, give their leader a lung transplant in 2017 and then now give him the best treatment possible for coronavirus? Secondly, Hamas has turned down the offer once. Seems that Israel thought they could get prisoners back in August, but nothing happened. And now has offered vaccines for those prisoners. If I were Hamas, I would think 2 prisoners for vaccines is a bit too good to be true. All I see here is you making claims that Hamas is somehow the PLO, and I assume by extent the PA. And that Hamas is accepting Israeli support for themselves but not their people, when quite literally none of that is true.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.